So before we actually get to, oh, hi, Damien, you're a snack. You're a little wormy snack with scales, and you slither around all over the place. Anyway, let me stop kicking the thing. Let me stop kicking the camera. So anyway, so let's do a recap of Trump's opinion before we actually get into Zelensky and Trump duking it out over Mr. Tyrant's invasion of him. And I'm trying to find Streamlabs. I gotta stop. Like, all right, what's going on? So here we go. This was 3 years ago. Just as a recap for those who are not actually certain about who for those of us who need a refresher. But basically, yeah. So
was speaking to Buck Sexton. That's a real name, by the way. Buck Sexton. It's basically a crime that guy is not a porn star. I mean, I've seen him, so I don't want him to be a porn star, but the name Buck Sexton should be the name of a porn star. I think we can all agree on that. That is the left and right joining in total agreement and unison and peace and harmony on that front. Well, Trump spoke to Buck Sexton. I'm not going to get past that guy's name. And he told him what he thinks about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and his response is something.
24 hours, we know Russia has said that they are recognizing two breakaway regions of Ukraine, and now this White House is stating that this is an invasion. That's a strong word. What went wrong here? What has the current occupant of the Oval Office done that he could have done differently?
Well, what went wrong was a rigged election, and what went wrong is a candidate that shouldn't be there, and a man that has no concept of what he's doing. I went in yesterday, and there was a television screen.
Of course, this was back when Trump was doing the whole big lie stuff about how the election was stolen. The election was stolen. We're gonna rig it. We're gonna rig the election. Although this year it's gonna be too big to rig. We're gonna. It's gonna be great. We're gonna make America great again. We're gonna kick so many people off the voter rolls, all while crying election integrity. And we're gonna do great. And we're gonna make America the best it's ever been. We're gonna crash the stock market. It's gonna be great, everybody.
This is genius. Putin declares a big portion of Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen.
Did he just say that Putin's
a big portion of Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen.
He's going to go in and be the peacekeeper? What?
But think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well. Very, very well. By the way, this never would have happened with us. Had I been in office, not even thinkable. This would never have happened. But here's a guy that says, I'm going to declare a big portion of Ukraine independent. He used the word independent. And we're going to go out and we're going to go in and we're going to help keep peace. You got to say that's pretty savvy. And you know what the response was from Biden? There was no response. They didn't have one for that. Now it's very sad.
So at first when you're listening to it, and go back and listen to it again if you didn't get this sense, but I definitely got this sense. He starts out being sarcastic. It's like, oh, yeah, this is genius. How smart is that? It's now independent territory, and he's a peacekeeper. So he starts out being sarcastic. But then he's like, that's very sad. Wait, which is it? You were saying it was like genius and smart, but you sounded sarcastic. In other words, it sounded like the point you were trying to make is, this isn't genius, this isn't smart. Like, we all see through what you're doing here. But then by the end, he seems dead serious. He's like, that's very savvy. That's a savvy thing. Okay, which is it? Which is it? Are you mocking the idea that it's genius and smart, or are you genuinely saying this is savvy? Because guess what, man? Look, it's the least savvy thing I've ever seen. It's textbook. So you don't just, like, you would be psychotic to just immediately invade, no pretense, no propaganda build-up. Like,
yeah, so basically, so yeah, this nightmare of how Trump is pro the invasion of just keep this in mind when we go to fucking do this. Like, oh my goodness. So let's actually... Oh, but I don't want to piggyback off of Vosh's content. Siding with Putin, Trump abandons U.S. position as leader of the free world. Is it this one? Did Al Jazeera talk about it? Alright, let's just find the Trump discussion with, let's just, all right. I feel like it'll be easier to do this. Let's see, Russia-Ukraine war, Trump-Zelensky discuss terms to end of conflict. She might be briefly talking about it. I really don't want to go to Vosh's video. I've piggybacked off of his shit enough. The problem is I can't find the fucking video anywhere. Wait. No. Alright. Trump abandons. I'll just suck up my pride. Sorry, Vosh. Alright. But no, that's 17 minutes. Let's see if I can find it in Google. Trump abandons Ukraine. As the U.S. faces a whatever case. Maybe, I don't know.
For the past week, beginning with the stunning and monumentally stupid ambush of American ally Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office by the President and Vice President of the United States.
All right, I guess we'll just go with this one.
And some other members of the press have been treating this clash as a difference of opinion on foreign policy. Frankly, and because this is a family show, let's just say that's crap. This is not a difference of opinion on foreign policy. What we're seeing is an administration, for reasons neither beneficial nor precedential to the United States and its allies, upend and cast aside 80 years of geopolitical world order that has kept large-scale multinational wars a thing of the past. And seemingly on cue, an emboldened Russia, led by murderous invader Vladimir Putin, escalated its attacks on Ukraine. Late yesterday and early today, Vladimir Putin's military hit critical infrastructure, including power and fuel facilities. In a video released today, President Zelensky said Russia launched both cruise and ballistic missiles, as well as attack drones. Ukraine's ability to anticipate and respond to these attacks is actually hampered right now because of the White House. Reporting from Kyiv, Time Magazine senior correspondent Simon Schuster, a frequent guest on this program, writes this, quote, the U.S. decision to suspend the flow of military intelligence to Ukraine this week has aided the Russian advance along a critical part of the front, weakening the negotiating position of President Volodymyr Zelensky and killing many Ukrainian soldiers in recent days. According to 5 senior Western and Ukrainian officials and military officers familiar with the situation, quote, as a result of this pause, there are hundreds of dead Ukrainians, one of the officers told Time in an interview on Friday in Kyiv, asking not to be named when discussing sensitive military operations. The biggest problem is morale, he added, as the armed forces of Ukraine are being left to fight without some of their best weapon systems, not as a result of Russian attacks, but American pullbacks. It's really causing an advantage for the enemy on the front line.
Yeah.
It's not a foreign policy dispute. That's the President of the United States, quote, really causing an advantage for the enemy on the front line, end quote. And simultaneously, according to Politico, quote, 4 senior members of Donald Trump's entourage have held secret discussions with some of Kyiv's top political opponents to Volodymyr Zelensky, just as Washington aligns with Moscow in seeking to lever the Ukrainian president out of his job. The senior Trump
that sounds about right. See, ever since the beginning of the whole war, like, as we remember, like in Kyle Kalinski's video, he basically mentioned how, like, he thought, like, Trump literally thought that it was a genius invasion of Ukraine, and how, Putin's gonna go in there and play a peacekeeper. Like, that's what he literally said. He literally said Putin was gonna be the peacekeeper. It's so fucking ridiculous. This is our president right now.
With Ukrainian opposition leader Yulia Tymoshenko, a remorselessly ambitious former prime minister, and senior members of the party of Petro Poroshenko, Zelensky's immediate predecessor as president, according to 3 Ukrainian parliamentarians and a U.S. Republican foreign policy expert, end quote. Causing an advantage for Ukraine's invading enemy and meeting with the political opposition to Volodymyr Zelensky. It's impossible to overstate how far past normal the foreign policy doctrine of Donald Trump's second term is shaping up to be. Today, Donald Trump said he is, quote, strongly considering new sanctions and tariffs on Russia after its latest assault on Ukraine. But Donald Trump says a lot of things, often things directly contradicting other things that Donald Trump has just said. So for now, we're going to focus a lot more on what he's doing. And since last Friday's fight in the Oval Office, the things he's doing are hurting Ukraine and helping Vladimir Putin. Joining us now is Congressman Adam Smith, Democrat of Washington State. He's the ranking Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, good to see you in person. You're often a very regular guest for us, and we appreciate that clearly in the weekend mornings. Let's talk about this. This war between Russia and Ukraine has in many cases been a war of attrition. Some slow moves here and there, slow advances by Ukraine, certain setbacks, but they have depended on certain things from us. It's military equipment, material, and intelligence. In fact, the intelligence has probably been the most important part of it. We just suddenly stopped that. We stopped giving them certain intelligence. That's going to make it a lot easier for Russia to make advances in Ukraine and to weaken the Ukrainian resolve.
Absolutely. Look, the effect of what Donald Trump has done is to empower Putin in Russia, weaken Ukraine, and crucially prolong the war. Because if Putin thinks he's winning, he's going to keep going right to Kyiv.
He doesn't need a ceasefire.
Right, you have to be able to deter him. Now, whether or not Trump's decisions were because he's just not that smart at negotiating, or whether or not it is the darker case that I heard Thomas Friedman make on this network earlier today, that Trump ultimately doesn't care if Putin takes Ukraine. I don't know, but the effect is 100% certain, and it is to empower Putin and prolong the war. Now, Trump and his supporters like to say, look, he just wants to end the war. He wants to get a peace deal. What he's doing is having the exact opposite effect. He's putting all of the pressure on Zelensky, crippling Zelensky, as you just described, while Zelensky's already under enough pressure from Russia, from Putin. And Trump is completely throwing the door open for Putin. Putin's not going to come to the table if Trump's taken all the pressure off of him. So his moves are either idiotic or clearly designed to abandon Ukraine in favor of Putin. Either way, it's a disaster for U.S. credibility and for our global interests, not to mention, of course, for Ukraine and much of Europe.
Yeah, so there's this obsession Donald Trump has with getting paid back. Now, that misses a lot of the point. And that is, much of the aid we give Ukraine is spent in the United States. It's armaments, it's foundries that are working 24 hours to provide this stuff.
Well, actually, that point aside, what we get back is we get what you just described. We got 80 years of peace.
Yes, that's the more important
There's this perception that we have been so just benevolent to the people of Europe. Look, we are the richest, most powerful nation in the history of the world. And a big part of that is what you said. We have stopped world wars from happening. Of course, we have gotten such a return on our investment in Europe that you just wouldn't believe. And if we pull that out and take it.
So another thing I want to talk about, because I'm like getting lost with half of this shit. That's why I don't really respond a lot, because I just like a lot gets on my mind. I do have ADHD. I really need to learn to pay better attention. So Trump voters fuck around and find out the hard way. That I gotta say. I'll probably watch, like, the U.S. left out of emergency NATO meeting. Trump threatens. I'm not watching a video for 11 fucking hours. Oh my goodness, that framing casts doubt. It's just a doubt, you guys, you know? We're just not sure we wanna be committed to this NATO thing anymore.
Support from the U.S. President Zelensky received a warm welcome by EU leaders at that summit, in stark contrast to the tense meeting in the Oval Office last week. While European leaders huddled, President Trump warned that the U.S. might not defend NATO countries who do not meet the defense spending threshold.
You're not going to pay, we're not going to defend. I said that 7 years ago. And because of that, they paid hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, if you're not going to pay your bills, we're not going to defend you.
Are you going to make that policy, U.S. policy, that the U.S. wouldn't defend NATO countries that don't pay?
Well, I think it's common sense, right? If they don't pay, I'm not going to defend them. No, I'm not going to defend them. I got into a lot of heat when I said that. He said, oh, he's violating NATO. And you know, the biggest problem I have with NATO, I really, you know, I mean, I know the guys very well. They're friends of mine. But if the United States was in
Just
trouble,
looking at
we called
this
them,
this
we said,
monster
"We got a
just makes me
problem.
want to
France,
puke.
we got a problem. A couple of others I won't mention. Do you think they're going to come and protect us? They're supposed to. I'm not so sure.
So why standing so well?
I view NATO as potentially good, but you gotta get some good thinking in NATO.
No, you're good.
Meanwhile, NBC News is exclusively reporting that as the Trump administration appears to turn towards Russia, some U.S. allies are now thinking about scaling back the intelligence they share with the U.S. Joining me now is NBC's international security correspondent Courtney.
I don't blame him. Why share anything with us? We are so, like, with a president like this who thinks he's all hot shit because he's in the Oval Office, like, you know, oh, if you're not going to pay your bills, we're not going to defend you. We're going to let you fucking die. Another thing, not to go back to the previous Hasanabi segment that we just had on the stream, all this concern trolling, oh, if you really cared about Medicare, you would have killed Rick Scott, and he gets banned from Twitter, and all the right-wing SJWs get their fucking, you know, start crying their conservative tears because of what Hassan said, and meanwhile, we're gonna let you die if you don't give us money. Does that really need to be said? Like, unironically, like, are we really having this fucking conversation? Like, Ukraine is literally being invaded. Oh, and by the way, don't let it be a shock to you that we're still basically not, we're still looking the other way while Israel, continues to invade the hell out of Gaza and, the West Bank. And, basically claim the entire Palestinian territory as Israel. So, everything from the West Bank to Gaza, all Israel now. Like, they're trying to do that, and Trump's just looking the other way. He's not going to do anything. Still waiting for what he wants to say to Benny Boy Net and Butthoo. I know that is such a cringe name. But, like, and it's like, how am I supposed to deal with it, like, respond to the fact that we're literally a dead country now? See, I said in another streamer's chat one day, like, I'm like, oh, this country is dying, you know, and they made a great point. The country's already dead. The funeral was actually the inauguration day. Like, she had a point. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Two people reported on both of those stories. Courtney, congratulations on two great scoops. Let's start with NATO and this potential policy shift by the Trump administration. What does it mean for Article 5, which basically says an attack against one is an attack against all?
Well, what we were reporting is basically what President Trump just confirmed in the Oval Office, and that is that the Trump administration has been considering sort of calibrating their support for NATO and NATO allies based off of the members who pay the most. So if you have a member who pays above the threshold, the percent of their GDP on defense that the Trump administration thinks is appropriate, then they would consider defending them. In the case of an Article 5 violation, of course, the part of the Washington Treaty that says if one NATO member is attacked, all consider themselves to have been attacked. But it's not just Article 5 that's under consideration here, Kristen. This potential decrease in support to NATO by the United States could also see the Trump administration basically calibrating which exercises, military exercises, they would participate in based off whether the countries are meeting this threshold, this monetary threshold. And it could also make determine where U.S. military troops will be stationed and where they could be withdrawn from. So right now, NATO says that all members are supposed to pay 2% of their GDP towards defense. The Trump administration has been calling now for several weeks for that to be increased to 5%. Kristen and I have to say the U.S. doesn't pay 5%. We're right around 3.9% as of 2024.
Yeah, I think it's so important to point that out.
How much? How much are we at?
For that to be increased to 5%. Kristen and I have to say the U.S. doesn't pay 5%. We're right around 3.9% as of
3.9%, she said? Let me slow that down a little bit.
The Trump administration has been calling now for several weeks for that to be increased to 5%. Kristen and I have to say the U.S. doesn't pay 5%. We're right around 3.9% as of
yeah, 3.9%. This fucking clown wants our allies to pay way more than we fucking pay per dollar, per whatever, like way per GDP. It was the metric they're comparing to, and the U.S. doesn't want to increase their thing to 5%. Like, okay, we're a way richer country. In fact, what is the total market cap of the American stock market? $28.3 trillion our stock market is currently at. Let's look at the market cap of... Let's look at the total GDP. Right around the same. Pretty close. 27.7... No, wait. Not even close. $27.72 billion in USD. So you know what this would be if we paid 5%? Let me pull up a little calculator here. Right, I forgot my computer's in French too. All right. 27 point... No, comma. 7 times, no, I forget how you do X. No, that's not how you do it. Times 5% equals, yeah, we'd be putting in about, what is that? We're at billion, so that's 1,000. So about $1.3 billion into our military budget. Right? Did I get that math right? Based on the GDP, whatever the fuck. Like, this is... I hate math. Anyway, fuck math. But anyway, like, this is what the right? That's billions. Okay, yeah. So this is basically what the Trump admin wants to, like.
Yeah, I think it's so important to point that out. The
No.
United States doesn't pay 5%. Courtney, how extraordinary that he, and I think we have to put a fine point on this, confirm your report.
Wait, is that what we send to
It's
NATO?
notable to hear him talk about that. You also
I
have
can't
this
really
report
fucking tell.
about allies possibly scaling back intelligence sharing with the United States. What are the biggest concerns
So,
that you're hearing on the world stage?
Let's see.
And Kristen, again, these are some of the historically closest United States allies who have established this group called the Five Eyes. It's 5 nations that share this very highly classified technical intelligence information with one another at higher levels than they share intelligence with other nations. Now, some of these allies are now concerned that the United States seems to be trying to normalize relations with Russia. President Trump has spoken pretty openly about that effort. Because of that, they are...
And how do people not believe that? How do people not see that Trump is basically just, like... I saw a meme somewhere in one of the many Discord servers of literally Trump being butt-fucked by Vladimir Putin. It was one of the most obvious fucking, like, it was great. It really was. It was one of the greatest memes I've ever seen, because it's so accurate.
Concerned now about sharing some of
Our president is a bottom bitch for Putin. And he wants to turn America into Putin's anti-woke utopia.
sensitive information with the United States. And really at issue here, Kristen, is the foreign assets. They are concerned that some of their foreign assets, individuals, could potentially be compromised, their identities. And that is why they are now discussing the possibility of not sharing as openly as they have with the United States in the past.
All right, Courtney Cuby, thank you so much. We really appreciate your reporting.
So I want to see, did NATO increase Ukraine defense budget? Massively boost. Okay.
European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says Europe is ready to massively boost its defense spending and take responsibility for European security. She's proposed a 5-part plan to mobilize some 800 billion euros for defense and pledged immediate military support for
And
Ukraine.
this was 7 days ago, by the way.
She's been saying.
Europe is ready to assume its responsibilities. Rearm Europe could mobilize close to 800 billion euros of defense expenditures for a safe and resilient Europe. We will, of course, continue working closely with our partners in NATO. This is a moment for Europe, and we are ready to step up.
I'm pleased to welcome now Riho Terras. He's an MEP for Estonia's Conservative Isama Party. He's also the Vice Chair of the EU Parliament Security and Defense Committee and a former military commander. Pleasure to have you on the show. Mr. Terras, now can Ukraine's European allies fill the giant void left by the US in terms of military aid?
Well, I think we should still hope that US just stop the aid and not completely get out of it. And secondly, I think there's certain things Europeans can do much better. The numbers which we have seen till now are very small. Ukraine has got European defense aid around 200 billion euros if you compare it with their financial framework with 1 trillion, or for example, a Norwegian reserves, which is 1.7 trillion euros worth. So it is a very small money. But the problem is with the intelligence assets, with the Starlink, these things which Europe cannot do today, they are needed from the US, and that I think is a big gap. But yes, Europe can do much more.
One thing that's on the table right
So basically, this guy is calling for an increase?
Needed from the US, and that I think is a big gap. But yes, Europe can do much more.
One thing that's on the table right now that has been floated especially by Britain and France is that formation of a coalition of the willing. We spoke to your foreign minister last night, and he said your country would be willing. What do you say to that?
Well, the coalition of willing is already there. It was led by the US, and it was called Rammstein format. I think they are countries who really are supporting Ukraine with all their possibilities.
With boots on the ground as well to secure peace? Sorry to jump in there. With boots on the ground? Peacekeeping mission?
I really do not like to talk about boots on the ground or peacekeeping mission before there is any hint of the real peace treaty. I mean, this is too early to talk.
Well, I did watch a video by the Clavernacle. He is a European YouTuber. I want to say he's British. I think he's British, particularly. So, and he did a video about how, like, people do not want to end up dying for a country that hasn't really done anything for them. I feel like it was a really anti-NATO take, but I do understand why nobody would want to die for a country that, like, for example, Britain wanting to send actual boots out there to Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like, I think we can continue with, like, supplying Ukraine with the tools necessary. In fact, if they have tools of similar strength to the US, like if they ended up in anything with any weapons from the US, they should immediately donate them to Ukraine. Because US missiles, you see what that shit did. You know what I mean? Like, Israel gets US weapons to bomb the fuck out of innocent Palestinian babies. You see what those missiles are fucking capable of. So there needs to be more military. Like, they should just donate those weapons straight to Ukraine.
Talk about.
And fuck the US, too. Fuck us. Fuck this country. Like, Trump really does have the desires of Hitler to invade the other countries around us. To start shit with fucking Canada. To start shit with Mexico. The fuck is wrong with this country?
I think it is a waste of effort to talk about boots on the ground. We need to talk about how to win the war, how to support Ukraine in the way that Ukraine will come to the negotiation table from the position of strength. And that means that we need to do much more from our side to support Ukraine with the weapons and with all other capabilities available. And we have not done it yet. So yes, I think we need to do more.
Volodymyr Zelensky says he wants to make things right with Donald Trump. After all that we saw last week, what do you reckon it will take to get there?
Don't. First of all, I know you're never going to watch this, Mr. Zelensky. You don't. Don't, okay? You gotta, obviously, like I said, you're not gonna see this because you've got a lot more important things to worry about than some random-ass Twitch streamer. But still, I reinstate my position for the third time, repeating myself, because that's what I do. Don't. The United States You are literally asking for money from literally either Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, ironically. Like, this is the kind of leader you're asking for money from. He's just under a different name and in a different timeline. Don't. This monster is not your friend. He has no respect for the world stage. For the security of your country. He talks a big game about how United States is the best country in the world, and then signs executive orders oppressing trans people, taking away so that we don't get fucking passports. He passes laws reclassifying immigrants as terrorists to be sent to Guantanamo Bay. He repeals an executive order dating back decades in the name of being anti-DEI, which is just code word for being anti-black, anti-queer, anti-whatever. You are literally asking for money from a monster who doesn't care about you. Don't. Stop. Okay? Canada is better than us. Mexico is probably going to be better than us. Europe is, like, clearly they want to help. But don't ask the US for anything. We have made it very clear that we are not to be relied on. And that we are just the security, trust in America, the length of time for trust in America is about 4 years. You sign a contract, and then the next administration is done. Even if that contract still has a long way to fucking go before it's expired, next administration comes in, we're done. That's how this country works. We're literally going through a court case, or went through a court case, about US fucking aid. You can't trust this fucking country, Vladimir Zelensky, Mr. President. You can't trust this fucking country. There are way better allies that you can look to seek for aid. But do not try to make, what did you say? What did she say?
Volodymyr Zelensky says he wants to make things right with Donald Trump.
Don't try to make things right. He needs to make things right, and he's not going to. He's not going to because he thinks he's a badass. And he's not. He's an old-ass clown who the only reason he's still alive is because because Thomas Matthew Crooks was a shitty shot. That's it. That's the only reason that motherfucker's in that White House. Ooh, am I next from the MAGA SJWs? Am I now getting banned?
We saw last week. What do you reckon it will take to get there?
Well, I think to work with the US is still very important for the alliance, for NATO, and for Ukraine and Zelensky. I hope that the US will have an open possibilities there for Zelensky to come back to the negotiation table with US. But we should start to do more. We have countries who are talking about supporting Ukraine. But for example, Denmark has delivered more in support of Ukraine as Spain, France, and Portugal together. And compare the size, you understand what I'm talking about. So I think we should have more burden sharing between European allies also, not only in supporting Ukraine, but in the defense expenditures as such.
Riho Terras, member of the European Parliament for the Estonian Isama Party. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's basically what we're doing. We're essentially abandoning a NATO, or we're abandoning someone who should be part of NATO, so all of that fun shit. So yeah. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? Is that it? Did we get through everything? I think we got through everything. Well, yeah, I think we did. What's this about?
Who's getting your vote this midterm? Will it be a party led by
Vote Republican?
Educated, forward-thinking politicians backed by scientists, doctors, and the majority of the population? Or are you voting Republican? That's right, of course you are. We had several randomly selected American citizens tell us why they chose the Republican Party. Here's what they said. We're an organization of doers. We do things.
Republicans know how to handle money.
Because the Republican Party built this country.
The Republican Party keeps America safe.
When I
Oh
joined the
my
Republican
God.
Party, it felt like more than just some group. It was deeper than that. It felt more
Is
like...
this is not a parody, is it? Wait, what?
Group. It was deeper than that. It felt more like a clan.
Republicans in the pockets of tax-evading billionaires and lobbyists.
The future is scary.
Okay.
That's why we want to go back.
Alright, this is a parody.
The Republican Party values human life. That's why they're taking away bodily autonomy and putting guns in Lunchables to keep them safe.
When Republicans see an issue like racism or violence, we don't just turn the other cheek. We turn all the way around and walk in the other direction. I thought my whole life was going to be dictated by my
Yeah, that sounds about right.
my fascist behaviors.
My raging xenophobia.
But after I joined the Republican Party, it still is. So move that cross-burning to next weekend. Because come November 8th, we need you down at the polls to do what Republicans do best. Win fairly. If you think we're going to make the world a better place, you can kiss my ass. But we'll make things genuinely worse.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. They're doing a really great job at that. After all, if I have to remind you about how bad the stock market is, like let's go finance.yahoo.com. Let's look up no, let's not do. Let's do Spider. Let's look at Spider's main ETF trust. So this is the past year. Right around here, election, right? An election happened, it turns out. And what happened in the election? Oh, here we are. Whoa! Donald Trump! Yay! Yay! And now I'm gonna collect my earnings. Yay! Trump! 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 MAGA! Oh shit. Well, we're collecting earnings, so nothing to see here. Trump is about to be inaugurated. Trump, and oh shit. We're not sure what happened, what's going on with the tariffs. We done fucked up again. And so now we're in the middle of a stock market crash. So, yeah. Now we are here. Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. We're about $10 down from where we were the night before the election. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, if you think this video was wrong, just remember, we abandoned Ukraine, and everything that pro-Republican ad said was completely correct. Yes, that totally pro-Republican ad. I really don't want to fucking go into Vosh's video, but I feel like that's the only way we're gonna be able to actually get the fucking discussion they were having.
Even Russian state TV is acknowledging that America is switching teams. I mean, we all knew that Trump taking office would be really bad for Ukraine. Meanwhile, in Russia, state TV host Evgeny Popov says that Trump is doing Moscow's job by ripping apart the Western world. Yeah, we know. Yeah, it seems the Ukraine war is soon to come to an end.
Must end. President Trump has been clear with the American people and with many of your leaders that stopping the fighting and reaching an enduring peace is a top priority.
Maybe Steve Shives, because otherwise I would have to go to that 1 hour video, and we only have a fucking 20 minutes left.
I just want to play you a short clip of how that went. It didn't go super well, and if you want to see the entire thing or all of it that has been televised and released, you can find the rest of the footage elsewhere on the internet. There's just this one bit that jumped out at me that I want to show you, and this is what Trump said in response to a reporter's question about if they do manage to get a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine to end this war, or at least put it on pause. What does Trump think would happen if Russia and Vladimir Putin broke that ceasefire?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire? What if anything? What if the bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you.
So yeah, that's Trump obviously being a clown, and you can see Zelensky is obviously... Let's look at Zelensky's approval rating, by the way. So, let me see, is there a chart? Zelensky versus Trump approval rating in Ukraine chart, because I want to compare. Let's see, jumps to 68%. Jesus Christ. Although this is the Kiev Independent, so be careful of any. Right now, like in the times of war, it's understandable why a country might get a little propagandistic, so definitely take anything here with a grain of salt. But yeah, so 68% following his heated exchange with the U.S. Yeah, so before the diplomatic spat, a February 2025 survey showed that 50% of Ukrainians trusted Zelensky, while 37% did not. resulting in a trust to distrust balance of plus 20%. Between February 14th and March 4th, trust in Zelensky increased to 68%, with the share of those who do not trust him dropping to 29%. And, yeah. So... yeah, so that's basically... so, yeah. So his distrust fell by 8 percentage points, improving his net approval from 20% to plus 38%. Tech billionaire Elon Musk, a close ally of Trump, took to X. I'll bet you his trust rating is going to crash if he tries to make peace with Donald Trump again. Like, because I feel like they don't, like, I feel like Ukrainians may see the United States now for what it is. That the United States is obviously an unreliable piece of shit, third world country with that only can call itself first world because of the billionaires that are having just the utmost perfect life. A dictator without elections. Meanwhile, here in the United States, Trump is trying to dismantle the administrative state, and we may not have other elections. Ignores the fact that Ukraine's constitution prohibits elections during martial law, which has been in effect since Russia's full-scale invasion began in 2022. I'm pretty sure our U.S. elections suspended during martial law. Why? Hoping that Joe Biden... no, that's Quora. We're not going to go there because they're a bunch of... anybody can write on Quora. You look up on Google, why do conservatives hate trans people so much, and you get some dipshits on Quora playing apologetics for Nazis. Or being Nazis altogether. There is no role for the U.S. military in turning the... blah. So apparently in the United States we can have a... is that true? Let's see. So I don't know. I would ask your lawyer, ask your local attorney if you're rich enough to afford one. So let's see. The poll conducted via telephone interview surveyed 1,029 adult Ukrainian citizens residing in government-controlled territories. So, yeah. So basically, yeah. So everybody likes Zelensky. Yeah. It's very, oh, looks like China's catching up to us. Japan's been stagnant. Why do I give a fuck about GDP? That number don't mean shit. Well, anyway, I think that's it for this segment. If you enjoyed this segment, feel free to like and share the stream. Or not stream, I'm about to go dark soon. Although you can share the stream too. But yeah, so you can like and share the video. Share it with as many people as you can, because if we reach as many people as possible, we can definitely fight back against this oppressive regime that definitely wants to invade other countries like Greenland and etc., etc. You know what I mean? Like, we can do better than this, guys. We can do fucking better than this. In fact, we had the choice to do better than this, and we blew it. Like, I weep for the fact that America has died. So, yeah, so thank you for following. Feel free to check out my Blue Sky. Once again, that is here. You can find my KikiRose420.bsky.social, and follow me on there. if you want to follow me on X, I don't recommend it. Lots of fucking Nazis here. You can go ahead and follow me here. Yeah. Apparently I got 9 followers on there, so cool. And also don't hesitate to join my Discord server. Lots of fun stuff can happen there. You just have to be part of it. You just have to come in here. Let's see. Dogs might be man's best friend, but a cat will never tell the police where your drugs are. That is true. Wasn't so bad when shit was so sleepy, now was it? Yeah, that is true. Kanye West's fans. For Christmas, I want a dragon. Be realistic. I want my missing sock from the washer. What color do you want your dragon? Red. Yeah, to those of you who read political memes and don't get into pointless arguments in the comments. I don't know what that was about. Oh. To those of you who read political memes and don't get into pointless... I tip my wine or my champagne. But anyway, so yeah. So that's that. That happens. You know, we shitpost on there all the fucking time, and you're welcome to join. In fact, every single segment will have a link to the Discord. All you have to do is look in the description. And with that, let me end this this segment right here and fuck off with the rambling. And without any further ado, I end the segment here. Anyway, get out.